To this session of the College of Business Leadership Conference, KPMG's Culture and Values, Bringing Your Whole Self to Work. My name is Dr. Douglas K. Schneider, the Edwin B. Jones Family Distinguished Professor in the Department of Accounting at UC's College of Business. I have the privilege today of introducing our guests. My first introduction is Jessica Simmons, to my immediate left, who is Audit Senior Manager at KPMG, currently on a rotation with the National Third-Party Compliance Group. She has more than 13 years of experience providing financial statement and internal audits of both public and private companies. Throughout her career, Jessica has delivered professional and audit services to numerous large multinational groups, ensuring compliance with U.S. GAAP, IFRS and PCAOB requirements. In her current role, Jessica also serves as co-lead for KPMG's Raleigh African Ancestry Business Resource Group, where she actively contributes to creating a diverse and inclusive work environment. She has co-led the KPMG Raleigh NAF program, coordinating activities to help high school students become college, career, and future ready. Jessica's dedication to community engagement is further reflected in her involvement as an advisor in junior achievement and as a Rotarian, where she is recognized as a Paul Harris Fellow. She's also a member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. Jessica graduated from the University of The Bahamas with a bachelor degree in accounting. She's a certified public accountant and a certified internal auditor, substantiating her expertise and commitments to professional growth. Outside of work, Jessica enjoys traveling, the beach, youth development, philanthropy, and spending quality time with her loved ones. I assured Jessica that even though the Bahamas is a place where the history of pirates occurred centuries ago, the pirates here today are much more friendly. One of the great rewards of serving as a faculty member is when former students return to campus. That is certainly true today. I have the privilege of introducing one of our distinguished alumni who is presenting in today's session, Amanda Webb. Originally from Wilmington, North Carolina, Amanda is an alumni of ECU's College of Business, where she earned her BSBA degree, class of 2009, and MSA degree, class of 2010, where she was a student in one of my classes. She was initiated into Beta Alpha Psi, or Accounting Honor Society, for which I served as faculty advisor. She also served as president and finance vice president of the Alpha Delta Pi sorority here at ECU, for which I served as treasurer of the House Corporation and as faculty advisor. Amanda is currently a managing director in KPMG's audit practice in their national office and is based in Silicon Valley, California. She previously worked in KPMG's New York City and Norfolk offices. I should mention I occasionally visited with Amanda when she was working in New York City. Her career has focused on providing professional audit and non-audit services to multinational public companies across various industries. She has extensive experience leading large teams, coaching and mentoring individuals, and is an avid culture champion within her firm. Amanda is recognized for her commitment to and demonstration of KPMG's firm's values and culture as a recipient of their Chairman's Award for High Performance. Both are excited to be here today to share about their careers at KPMG and how the firm's culture has supported their journeys. Please join me in providing a warm ECU welcome to Amanda Webb and Jessica Simmons.
Thank you for that introduction, Dr. Schneider. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. It's such a privilege to be back on campus. I can't believe how much it's grown. It was quite a journey to get here, coming from California, but when Dr. Schneider emailed me in May and asked if I would consider coming out if I ever come back to North Carolina to visit my family that's still in Wilmington, I said, oh, of course, anything Dr. Schneider asks, I'll be there. He was so influential of my career and where I am. So I have to tell a story about you before I get started or get into the heart of the presentation today. But The reason I am where I am is a lot to do to thank you, Dr. Schneider. When I was on campus, I originally was studying finance, my undergrad, as Dr. Christian just mentioned, and it was right in 2008 when I was doing some investment simulation course, and the financial crisis happened, and I immediately was like, I do not have this level of risk in me to take. I saw what happened with the fake $1 million at the time, and had to decide what I was going to do next. And with mentorship of Dr. Schneider, having known him from the Theta Pi sorority that I was in, decided I'd stay on campus, get my master's, and focus in accounting, and switch from my primarily business focus at the time. And so the very first course that I took, because I didn't do accounting undergrad, was his 2-hour intermediate accounting class. And I remember thinking, 2-hour class, oh no, this is my first one I'm walking into. But when I left that course, I was walking back to the Theta Pi house across campus. I called my mom, who's here today, my biggest cheerleader as always, and I told her, I finally found what I should be doing, and this class just sealed the deal for me. I was so excited. But she's an English major by background, so she said, I don't really get it, honey, but I'm so excited for you. And ever since then, I've been hooked on accounting, and my career has I found a place through ECU that supported me to grow. You can come on in, of course.
Oh no, how's your tech? Got it?
It's great, thank you, thank you. That supported me, and I hope to share with you all how I found KPMG and why, and how it supported me to be successful. Dr. Schneider mentioned a lot of the things that it's brought throughout my career of being in New York, being in now Silicon Valley, but I've also been able to travel all over the world, honestly, and I've been to places when you think of culture and values are very different from what mine likely would have been growing up in Wilmington, North Carolina, but Japan and China, to South America, Brazil and Argentina, Costa Rica, and all over the US and different offices, small and large, and Europe. And so what I've been able to do through that is really embrace the differences from one place to another and bring that back with me to really grow and shape who I've become, and be able to lead the teams that I actually work with every day, but also understand my clients better. And so I've had, in the roles I've had with my clients, been able to see their intricacies of the inner workings of their company and how important the foundation of their culture is. So we'll not only share with you what KPMG's done for me, but also the learnings of multiple corporations and clients that I've been able to work with in the role that I have as an auditor of those companies. So that's a lot of me talking, so I will pause and let Jessica, I know you wanted to say a few words before we get started.
Yeah, certainly. So I, Jessica Simmons, I started my career with KPMG in the Bahamas. After that, KPMG has a program called Global Mobility, so that's where you're able to work wherever in the world that you want to work, whether it's KPMG. And so I took advantage of that program, and I worked with KPMG in Bermuda for 2 years, which was a different type of vibe. I think people just always ask the question, like, isn't it similar to where you were, since it's an island, but it's a different type of island, right? I don't know if many of you know, but the Bahamas is 21 by 7, so 21 miles long, 7 miles wide, and that's the entire island. And so when I went to Bermuda and I realized it was 21 by 1, 21 miles long, 1 mile wide, I'm like, I went from small to smaller. The population in Bermuda was about 67,000 people, but it was very diverse. And so the culture was a melting pot of various different backgrounds. Unlike the Bahamas, where the culture there was more, Bahamians that worked in the office there. And so my career really started, quick story, in college. We normally had like college fairs where various organizations would, come to the school, and then you can go ahead, talk to a person's representatives, give them your resume, all that good stuff. So a friend and I were in a class, and we had missed the entire career fair. And there were 2 companies left, KPMG and then it was another like local bank. And we stopped at the KPMG booth and we were like, I know everything's packing up. They were literally packing up and ready to go. And there were two ladies there and they were like, well, if you can get us your resume, we can see if we can get you into the summer internship program. And so I remember dashing across the street to the library and I almost fell. And I was like, oh my God, I have to get this internship. And so we made it to the library, we printed our resume, when we got back they were there, this was 2008. From then to now, I'm still here at KPMG, so I was so grateful that I was able to meet them at that point in time, because had I missed, I don't know what would have happened. I've had the opportunity to be one of KPMG's recipients for their scholarship that they had in my last year of college. And we'll talk more about our career and the types of clients that we worked on throughout the project, but throughout the session. But wanted to give a brief background of how I got into KPMG. My love for accounting actually started in high school. I had a really enthusiastic high school accounting teacher. This was in like 10th grade. She was very, very she cried when 2 students didn't pass the Pitman exam. And I mean, I sat and I saw her really bawling, and I'm like, where's this passion coming from? And she was like, I just really want to see my students do well. And I'm like, okay, if I have someone this invested in wanting to see me do well in this subject, let me put my best foot forward. And from then I kept doing well. And they said, you know what, I really love this. I'm going to continue to do this, and this is what I'm going to do in college. And so that's what I did. And that's where we are now, here still at KPMG some 13 years later, speaking to you all and hopefully being an inspiration to you all to want to study the field of accounting and make it a full-time career for you. So I'll pass it over to Amanda now and we'll get started with our presentation.
Sounds good. So just a really quick cover of the agenda. We'll talk about, just lay the basics. What is corporate culture? What does that mean to KPMG? What are some of the initiatives that we're doing within our firm? How's that foundation, what is that foundation that's really supported Jessica and I throughout our career so far? And then we will touch on at the end how that has supported us to just come to work every day and be ourselves, and of course take questions. And I know some of you have already put some in our chat, so thank you for that. We'll make sure we get to those for sure. But so corporate culture, what is it? I mean, it's what we do, how we do things every day, and it's the big things, it's the small things, it's all of it. What you see in the box here, it tries to capture that. So there's the desired culture. These are the tangible things, maybe more so. Your purpose and values, it's your process flows, it's your code and policies, it's what's documented. But then there's, what's on the right, it's your actual culture, it's how you feel, it's what you hope all of those things drive, right? And that's what we experience, and then when we think of culture, how it impacts us, that's really where you end up. But those are not the things that you can see and touch, but that is what has the bigger impact is in the right-hand side of the mindsets, the behaviors of why culture is important. So why it matters, it really drives our influence, it drives all of us to actually succeed, it drives us to want to stay where we are. The people that you spend your day with and the way that they make you feel, the support that you get from those around you, it's all important to playing that role. It's not just tone at the top, right? And I think that's where it starts, and probably what a lot of the courses that you're taking tell you as far as being in a business or when it comes to corporate mindset. It starts with tone at the top, of course, but all of us have to have, as an individual, the mindset. And what I think, to me, is most important is ensuring that we create an environment that is inclusive, where people want to be, where they feel they can share their thoughts, they can raise questions, and that's not always easy sitting at a table with a group of people. But what I've found as a leader, that's really key, and you want people to gain their trust in you so that they can do that, because otherwise they stay quiet, and those are probably the ones that they need support of some type, or something needs adjusting, so that within a group setting, we all feel that we can raise our hand. And I don't know about you all, how much you've been remote or just behind a camera for the last few years, but even more challenging during the pandemic when we're virtual and we have these group settings, but we're behind cameras and you can't always read faces. Like, we can read yours today, which was great. And you can see nods and things and or hands go up. It's very different to have to go off of mute, but still keeping, you know, and as a leader in my mind, how do I approach those situations to try and make everyone feel like this is an open space and to be yourself. So part of that comes with, you know, investing in your people. That's really key. And just being willing to not think you know the answer, but listen to everyone's true opinions and their thoughts. So Jessica, I don't know if you want to add anything there as far as...
Yeah, I do agree with everything that Amanda said. And when we think about corporate culture, culture in general, it's really the way, how your environment is. Like, what do you feel in that environment, right? If I were to ask anyone in this room right now, what's the culture like at your university? Can anyone just want to raise their hand and say, like, what do you think what's your culture like?
It's casual and fun. Well, fun.
Fun? Okay. Anyone else? Have a hand in the back?
The first word that comes to mind for me is community, something I saw when they were advertising the school to me, and something that I found to be true. The professors are really engaged with their students, and peers are engaged with helping each other out as well.
Love that. Community, the professors are engaged with their students. I have a hand up there.
Just to add on to it, she said like very supportive from the faculty and the other students.
Awesome, awesome. And are these things that were advertised? I think she mentioned that it was advertised in the school. Is that something that was advertised when you were applying and looking into attending the school? And so basically, when you got in, you saw that what was advertised was exactly what you felt, right? And so what were you able to do in that environment, contribute to it, right? And so that's one of the things, one of the good things about culture, like whatever it is, the environment itself, you want to be able to contribute to that environment. If it's a good environment, you want to contribute to that. Of course, we don't want to contribute to negativity, right? And so that's the same thing with corporate culture. Corporate culture can be different depending on where you are, right? So if you're at, let's just say you work at a different firm, the culture there may be different. And that may be a different vibe for you. And that also impacts the first point here where it says how people treat one another. Because if you're not feeling the sense of belonging, if you're not feeling welcome, you're going to feel like the culture here doesn't, mesh with my own personality. So that's one important point I wanted to note. When it comes to culture, just ensure that you are contributing to the positivity of the culture and you are treating people the way in behaviors that are rewarding to their contribution as well to that particular culture.
I think it's important, a couple of things that just came, out of the comments from everyone and your remarks. So thanks for bringing, everyone sharing. But the points you raised around those are things that were advertised what brought you to ECU. It's very similar to Jessica and I when we met and we started both telling our stories of how we ended up at KPMG. There were things that brought us here over 13 years ago, both of us, very similar to how you came to ECU. And it has lived up to those things, just like ECU has with the professors that you've been working with. And so if there's one thing that you take away, because I know all of you are going to be going through, a lot of you will be going through the process of trying to find what after college looks like for you. It's just as important that you try to find that company or that place where you feel comfortable, just like you did when you picked ECU. And that is our biggest hope out of the messages that we're delivering today, because we realize where a lot of you are in your process of next steps. So I just wanted to reiterate that point. It's really been key for us, and hopefully we will talk a lot about KPMG, but it's because that's what has supported us to be where we are. But same messaging and same steps to take wherever you end up, I guess is the point. So then before we hop into what we're doing at KPMG and our initiatives around culture and diversity, equity, and inclusion. We do have a quick video just to start things off. Does it give you the link to?
I'm just taking some pictures.
We might have to skip the video, so. I don't even get started and then I can get back to it. No. Okay. Okay, well, sorry about that. Quite ready for that, so go back to presentation mode. Sure. We lost our slides. We just went blank on us.
There it is. There it is.
There we go.
Okay, so we had a video that kind of get started. So we're going to continue. So at KPMG, we have an initiative called Accelerate 2025. And this initiative is basically geared towards driving meaningful change within KPMG. It highlights our diversity, our efforts towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what we've done is really break it down into 3 steps: getting here, succeeding here, and then leading here. And as you can see on the presentation, getting here involves attracting talent. So it's all of the recruitment that we do within the universities as well as within the general public with experienced individuals as well. And what that does is we want to make sure that we ensure that KPMG is brought in a manner whereby KPMG is the clear choice for those that are interested in working with KPMG. And that's the getting here aspect of it. Succeeding here is all about engaging everyone in our firm and fostering that environment, ensuring that there are areas for consistency across the board for all of our employees. And then leading here deals with ensuring that there's a clear direction or path for promotion. We don't want you to stay stuck in the area that you would have applied for and came in. We want to ensure that you are progressing. And so that's a snapshot of what Accelerate 2025 is. And what we've done was we created several groups known as Business Resource Group. We call them BRGs. You can move to the next slide. And this is a little bit of snapshot of the percentages for getting here. Partners and employees, we have 67% underrepresented, 46% women, 36% women of color, and we have 5,000 plus schools and organizations that are supported as part of that as well. If we go to succeeding here, a little bit of statistics. We have, so in the succeeding here categories where we have our BRGs, we have about 7 BRGs that we have identified. We have the abilities in motion. We have African Ancestry, which deals with more of the African, those from the African American background. We have abilities in motion deals with, is a resource group for those with disability. We have Asian Pacific Islanders, so those from the Asian heritage. We have Somos, which is Latino heritage. We have KPMG Network of Women, which is a resource group for women. We also have the Pride BRG for those that are part of the LGBTQ community, and then we have veterans for those that are military or active military veterans from that area. And what these groups are is basically a resource for its members. Of course, if you're not a member, so for example, if you have a disability, you would be considered a member of the Asian, of the abilities in motion. However, if you don't have a disability, you can still be considered an ally. So you can sign up to be an ally as well. Similarly, with the Asian Pacific Islander, if you're Asian descent, you would be considered a member of that group because you connect with that group, and if you're not of Asian descent, you can still be a part of that business resource group as an ally. And these groups throughout the year, hold various initiatives, events. If there's something happening within the diaspora of that particular group, for example, African Ancestry, during February, we celebrate Black History Month, and so we have initiatives and events that happen during that period. During the month of June, we have Juneteenth celebrations, so we have various celebrations during then. And what you do is you just get the entire office involved into what it is that you're celebrating, your culture. Similarly with the Asian Pacific Islander, I know a couple of weeks ago they had a dragon boat race. And so we would have, contributed to that as well and showed support. So what these groups are, basically a resource for persons to ensure that we are all of our employees are feeling that sense of belonging, right? And so when there's questions or there's something that you're facing, you have your resource group that you can reach out to as a first line of contact that can assist you with getting further assistance or seeking further help from someone higher up the rank within the firm. And these are some of the programs and organizations that that each of these groups have been associated with. So you can see the Will Teach in Motion, we have a mental health awareness campaign and symposium, African Ancestry, there's the Howard University Whereabouts Success, the NAVA Convention. I attended that this year and it was super amazing. Got the opportunity to meet a whole lot of people from all over the world. So that was amazing. Asian Pacific Islander, we have mentoring circles. SOMOS, we have Association for Latino Professionals for America. KPMG Network of Women. So even though this is a resource group that is geared towards women, we also have men that serve as allies as well. So that was one example that I said that even though you're not a member, considered a member like you're a woman, you can also have men that are allies that are part of the KPMG Network of Women. And with that, we have No Leadership Conference, we have mentoring circles, accelerating your career path, and Pride, we have Pride Month, Global Pride Conference, Veterans, we have the Veterans Virtual Career Fair. I know the Veterans Day Walk is also coming up November 4th, and so that's something that the Veterans BRG is planning, and all officers are going to get involved with that as well. And then finally, we have Living Green. I missed that one in the earlier one, where there are coffee chats and also Living Green Week. Any questions or anything at this point? I know we said a lot. Have a question?
Do you have members or employees who are part of multiple different groups?
Yes, we do, and we also encourage it as well. So for example, you can be a member of one group or two groups. For example, I'm a member of the African Ancestry BRG as well as the KPMG Network of Women, and I'm also an ally for the Veterans Group as well as the Asian Pacific Islander. So as an ally, I ensure that I am contributing to helping with planning of various events, but I am a member of the KPMG Network of Women and Asian and the African Ancestry BRG.
Same here, I'll just say our No network, so the Network of Women, is the one that I've been most involved with, but I am an ally, as Jessica said, to really all of these. I took it upon myself maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer, I don't know. It seems like I've been an ally to a lot of these groups for a long time, but to try and learn as much as I could. And these were an opportunity for me to do that, just to, as you see here, there's different trainings that some of these host, or there's events that are in the office, but to learn. In my current office, the SOMOS KPMG, the leader is actually of our national SOMOS KPMG. He's in my local office, so being able to in person, go to events and meet him and network and see, what his story's been, and coming from Mexico and now being the leader of our national SOMOS KPMG and the way that he's spreading his story to keep, to really connect with other individuals, not just others that are Hispanic descent, but people like me who would like to know more. has been something that I've been able to gain by being an ally. But the No network for myself has been a huge part of where I've gained mentors outside of my office. When I was in the New York office, there were not many female partners. And being part of the No network, which actually, Dr. Quick, you'll appreciate this, my first No event I ever went to was in the Norfolk, Virginia office. And Candy Duncan it was our first meeting ever. So she kicked off that session for us, and she said, what she learned early as a female partner was, what makes you different in the room, let that be okay, be all right with that, because then you're going to be remembered. You know, everyone else might be forgotten, but because you're different in the room, you'll be remembered. And having that advice early in my career was very impactful, and it came from a No event. But now, years later, I'm just coming back from maternity leave, and this network is what helped me navigate through that and how to find my new self as a working mom. And there's so many people to lean on across the firm, not just in my local office, but from this No network. And those are just, you know, some of the ways that these groups can be impactful directly from my own experience. That is, you know, some of you are looking for ideas of other things to do, or as you're looking at places to go next, might be some things that stick out as you're listening to us today.
Yes. And something Amanda said really brought a different idea for me, so I thought I wanted to share with you. You know, a lot of people will be like, travel the world so that you can experience different cultures and what people do and what they enjoy and what they like, and, you know, immerse into the culture. What I like about these groups is that it comes to you. So we're here, and for example, we get to experience the culture of the Asian Pacific Islander. We get to experience the Latinos. We get to experience, you know, what it is that veterans do, you know, and how, you know, some of the things and experiences that they have had in their journey. You know, I've never been a part of, you know, an army or a veteran, but I can hear the stories, and that comes to me. So I didn't have to travel for that. So that's one of the things that I really love about these groups, is that, like Amanda said, if you're an ally for all of them, you get to experience and really immerse into the culture, the real true culture of that particular group. So that's one of the good things that I like. Any questions at this point? No?
One of the new groups I'll just make a little comment on is Living Green. And you might notice it's very different than the other inclusion groups that we have up here. It's not your background or your life choice necessarily, as you might typically think, but KPMG decided that this should be one of our business resource groups just recently, I think within the last 6 months, because it's such an important initiative and it's so important to many individuals. Living Green has been, you know, part of our firm for a long time, but not officially one of these groups. And so I would mention it today because with ESG on the horizon, and I'm sure you're all, you know, learning about it in school too, just a step that, you know, KPMG took in realizing how important it is to our employees, and giving it the prominence as part of one of these business resource groups. So, okay, should we keep going? I think we just have a few more slides, so we can also, this one's a quick one, just different awards that our firm
Places where KPMG is recognized as a great place to work.
And then we do have a minute to pause for more Q&A. So Jessica, just in the interest, we have about 10 minutes.
Do we want to go to those questions?
Yeah, does anyone have questions from their group just in general? Otherwise, I know we have about 4 or 5 in our Q&A from the chat that were provided in advance of the class. So maybe while we get those up, any hands for questions?
Any particular organization event stories that you have, that stuck out to you? Like, this is a good. Sorry, I can't talk. This organization, yes, this was a good decision to join here. What? Any stories that you've had in the ones that you currently answer?
You're referring to KPMG as the organization?
No, like the different corporate boards that you.
The BRGs.
That's it.
Okay, so your question is, are there any of the BRGs where we were like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be here, type of thing? That's it, okay. Yes, all of them actually. Because like I said, all of them bring something different to the table, right? So if you're a member, for example, I'm a member of the African Ancestry BRG, and one of the things that I'm actually a co-chair for that. And so one of the things that I did in our office, where I am in the Raleigh office, is pretty small. We would have started that BRG in 2015. Of course, I wasn't there yet. And actually 2020, sorry. I just got there. And one of the things that I wanted to do is create a committee. And I wanted this committee to be the one that really drives the initiatives and events that take forth that happen with this particular group. And one of the things that I didn't realize in this COVID world was how many African, those from African ancestry actually worked in our office. You know, so it wasn't until like we had the first event and I actually put a clarion call for persons that wanted to be a part of the committee that I realized that we had so many individuals from the African ancestry background that were a part of the office. And there were like about 6 young ladies that, you know, stepped forward to be a part of the committee. And we had our first meeting and one of them said, wow, I'm so happy to be here. You know, and I felt that same presence when I was there, like I'm so happy to be here, happy to be a part of this committee. Now, what can we do to make a change within our office and by extension KPMG now that we're here, now that we are part of this BRG? So that was one that I had, just being a part. I think for you know, long story short, I enjoy being a part of all because like I said, there's something new, different people that you meet on a daily basis, especially within this COVID environment whereby persons were just working from home the entire time. You get to really meet people and have that, you know, I'm so happy to not be home at this time feeling. Amanda?
Yeah, so maybe I'll share 2 examples. One is as an ally, and then one is directly as a member. But starting with my ally story first, it's with Pride at KPMG. And when I was in the New York office, when the pandemic happened, that group put on these amazing virtual events. They were really the first ones to have live virtual events where people joined and the chat was just blowing up the whole time. Everyone was so excited to be on and just have an opportunity to still network, even though we were virtual, because we were still trying to figure out how we do this. And they actually were the first group to start coffee chats. And so while I'm not a direct member, but I am an ally, that group to me during that point of, oh my gosh, I'm just sitting at home behind a computer all day and not really interacting with people, helped me find and meet new individuals within the New York office at the time at a point that I needed it. You know, I was craving that interaction with new people. So that's one way that's been, as an ally, very impactful for me. As far as being a member of the KNOW network, which is our KPMG network of women, it has brought me so many different opportunities. Really, outside of work, I'm always trying to find ways to get more involved in the community. And KPMG has so many opportunities to do that, but our KNOW network particularly, just in the last couple of years. So when I moved to California 2 years ago, I didn't know anyone. My husband and I went, and it was just the 2 of us. It was a long way from North Carolina and the East Coast. And the KNOW network introduced me to a group that's professional businesswomen of California. And that's one of my passions, is just supporting and raising women however I can. And so I've served on their scholarship committee, which will now be 3 years. An amazing opportunity just to help feel like I'm a part of these women's lives who are just starting their college careers and promoting that, which I would not have known anything about this organization or gotten involved without the KNOW network. And then just recently through KNOW was nominated for our Bay Area chapter for the American Heart Association, which is very near and dear to my family for multiple reasons, and lots of friends who have been impacted by heart disease throughout my life. So I'll be one of the Women of Impact runners. It's a competition of about 10 women leaders in the Bay Area to raise awareness for heart disease in women, but also raise funds for all the great things they do. So for me, the No Network has greatly expanded my community impact that I can give in a way that's different than just within the firm networking. It's helped open up my doors greatly. Is that on point with your question?
That's amazing. Anyone else?
Some of the other questions that people submitted.
Yeah, Jessica has those,
Okay,
so we'll
great.
get to those next. Unless there's any others from the group? Yeah.
About, excuse me, about how large are your business resource groups in terms of numbers of people? I know KPMG is a huge firm.
Yeah, they are, and so they vary by office. Across the firm, there's, I think, in total, over 15,000 people that are in our business resource groups. Every office has a chapter, and if they don't have a chapter, then they have what they call an inclusion chapter that brings them all together and hosts different events. So we try to have, that's the hub, is by office. And you might know a little bit more from the Raleigh office.
It's by office. It's depending on the size of your office. So my office is pretty small, about 200 people in total, and so each of the BRGs are like 20. I think I would know BRG is the biggest, at maybe like 50 or 60 or so. But most of the BRGs are around that 20, 25, some maybe like 14, 15, compared to LA office or New York office or Atlanta office, where the office is a little bit bigger, where they may have like hundreds of persons a part of that BRG. But like Amanda said, the span across all of the KPMG offices may be about 15,000 or so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll move on to the first question here. We had, how do you bring emotional intelligence into the workplace?
I would just say there's a lot to say about this question. Hopefully, some of what we shared today hits on this point. But awareness, just self-awareness, and especially being the leader person at the front of the table. Sometimes it just takes pausing and listening to those around you, putting your own thoughts aside for a minute so that you can hear others, and just being aware that that's necessary, I think, is probably my biggest tip to myself.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think when we hear emotional intelligence, it's how you, your actions, and then being aware of the actions of others. And so, like Amanda said, it's just being self-aware, knowing where you are, and reading the culture of where you are so that you can respond appropriately. I think one of the things I would mention here as well is communication. So once you're self-aware, you know where you are, and you want to communicate to that effect. So you don't want to be communicated in a manner that is off from what you have noticed in the room. So firstly, being self-aware where you are, and then responding to that appropriately with appropriate communication. So I think that's one way that how you can navigate, bring emotional intelligence into the workplace. Be aware of where you are in the workplace, and then communicate accordingly. Second question we have here, how do you navigate the line of being honest and true to yourself or oversharing? All right. How do you navigate the line of being honest and true to yourself or oversharing? I think it all boils down to just being your authentic self. Like, you want to understand what it is that you want, to share. And then and as it relates to oversharing, you want to digest and really see, okay, what a part of my story or part of what I want to say do I want others to know? So summarize what it is that you want to say, and then you say, okay, what a part of my story would I like for others to know? I'm okay with others knowing Navigating the line of being honest and true is just about being yourself. Like, you want to just be yourself. Don't try to be anyone else. Don't try to pretend. Be your authentic self in the most professional and respectable way. I think that's the key there. If you are someone who likes to laugh, then you bring that joyful spirit within the workplace. You don't know who is sitting next to you, who's going to feed off that, and you bring joy to them as well. Don't allow your environment or anyone that's near you to dampen who you are. Like, you bring your full authentic self to work, and I think it'll almost become like second nature. People will know who you are, like Amanda mentioned earlier. If it's something that's different about you, like if you're known for someone who's always, fun and bubbly and, shiny, people will remember that about you.
We go to the next one.
Yeah, I think just in the interest of time, we're probably a
Yeah,
little
we're getting
over.
pretty
so
close on
keep
time.
going.
I guess we'll take one last one. Have you ever had to navigate a situation where your identity made someone uncomfortable?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure. So whenever, I first started with KPMG, I a lot of times was the only female in the room. And I see some heads nodding yes of understanding that moment as well. It's very different today. And, the advice I shared from the very early women, the KPMG's network of women, was to be comfortable with that. But that wasn't easy. It was all the typical stories of, oh, you'll be the note taker, and did you get coffee arranged, and those things. We've come a long way since that, and I'm very proud to not be the only woman sitting in the room. And I definitely know that it was uncomfortable for myself at points, but as I think the tables have turned a little bit and there's more women around the table, I think it's meant some adjustment for the room and our leaders, even in our firm. So being able to be there and hear, don't call them girls, they're women, and do things like that have made people uncomfortable, certainly in a meeting setting. But that's okay, because I'm pretty proud of where we are now. And there's been trailblazers ahead of me that made it possible that I got to sit and be the only woman at the table in my early career. But for the uncomfortableness that some people might feel, it's okay. It just means things are changing, and proud of how things have changed, certainly. Anything you want to add?
No, I agree. 100%. Two other questions. I don't know if we have time to.
We can squeeze one more question in.
Okay, one more question in. Okay, one of them we've already answered. How did you start? Where did you start after graduation? I think both of us would have addressed that earlier on. And then I think we can just end with one question on one key takeaway for the group that we want to leave with the group.
Yeah, my biggest hope is that you all feel comfortable from here in the uncomfortable. I have moved around with the firm I've been with, and it has supported me in so many ways as I've grown and changed, and I've watched the corporate world evolve at multiple different industries and companies of all sizes. So being comfortable with that and that things aren't going to stay the same is good, as long as you have the appetite for it, and I hope that you do. I hope that you are inspired by our stories and you take that away. I think that's my biggest tip to hopefully leave all of you with, and I know it might sound a bit cliche, but it really is what has enabled me to be where I am. And if I didn't land at KPMG, I really truly believe that for myself, I might not be where I am and had the experiences that I had. So it took finding them at a very early point in my career and believing that they met my own values and the culture that I wanted to be a part of very early, and it hasn't let me down. So just look for that and be okay with being uncomfortable, because it will pay off in the end.
Yeah, and on top of that, I'll just add, just don't be afraid to take risks. Go ahead, step out, take the risk, understanding and remembering that your comfort zone is your danger zone. So if you're comfortable where you are, then that you're not growing. So don't be afraid to take risks. If there's a job somewhere, KPMG, of course, somewhere, just go ahead, take it. You never know what you will experience. You never know who you would meet. You never know where that step is going to take you. And so with that, we want to say thank you so much for your time today. Hope you enjoyed.